Earlier today in California, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass signed an executive directive to support immigrant communities in that state. And during the signing, the mayor had this to say after ICE raids at a marijuana grow facility just yesterday. Listen to what she said.
I am here today to sign an executive directive, and I just want to point out the irony for a minute, that there is a need for me to have an executive directive to help our city understand how to protect itself from our federal government. Just let that sink in for a minute. What we have seen here over the last now going on 6 weeks of raids that pop up and we never know exactly when and where they're going to happen. We've seen them in the general region. I'm sure many people saw Camarillo yesterday and what broke out there. We saw MacArthur Park earlier this week, which I think now, after all assessments, it is viewed as just a display of force, just to put the city in its place, to say we are the federal government, we can roll out troops whenever we choose.
By the way, those comments by the mayor were sparked by this. Watch. That chaotic scene you're seeing there happened during a clash between protesters and U.S. Border Patrol agents. It followed immigration sweeps at Glass House Farms. It is the largest licensed marijuana grow facility in Ventura County, California. Border Patrol agents were seen blocking a group of protesters. You see in that video there. At one point, they deployed what appeared to be tear gas canisters. The Ventura County Fire Department says 4 people were taken to the hospital and 3 others were treated at the scene. Listen to how people who were there describe the moment and the reason for the escalation.
They threw one under the car, and then all the car inside, it got full of smoke. They took my brother, they took his phone away. They're banging on there, not letting people out, trying to get in illegally.
We're here united. We're not letting ICE agents in. We're not letting ICE agents out. We've been trying to block in since we're not giving them what they want.
Our CBS News correspondent Carter Evans is at the scene of that clash and explains what happened.
That's right, and we've still got relatives, family members outside of the facility here. This is the entrance, and they say that they got some family members that are still inside there hiding. And we know that that has been happening because we've seen people coming out recently. They hid there all night. They were afraid that ICE agents were still around searching for them. We understand that some people were even hiding inside empty water tanks, but ICE agents have gone now. They were here at 9 o'clock yesterday morning, and word spread very, very quickly as they started rounding up people, lining them up against a wall and putting them in buses to take away. Word spread quickly on social media, text, cell phones, and protesters were here to confront those ICE agents, and it did get a little violent. You saw some smoke canisters being tossed, presumably tear gas, and also you saw the protesters throwing rocks back at the federal agents, some of their cars driving away with shattered windows. So a violent clash here yesterday, and right now, as far as we can understand, migrants still hiding inside this facility. Back to you.
Carter Evans, thank you. Let's bring in immigration attorney Lina Baroudi. Lina, thank you so much for joining us on 24/7 today. We know raids like these, they're keeping undocumented immigrants in their homes and away from places like work, school, and even church. So what should they do if they're caught up in a situation like the one we saw in that video?
Well, thank you, Muga. I can give some general information to non-citizens who are caught up in this, but it's really hard as an immigration attorney to tell people share this advice because we see that the U.S. government is not following the law. So for non-citizens who are caught up in these, we tell you, do not answer questions about where you were born, your immigration status, how you entered the U.S. You just say, I want the right to remain silent. I want to speak to an attorney. Other tips I can give are have the phone number of your attorney memorized, have the numbers of people in your family memorized. If you are detained, you want to ask for your A number. That's the number that is going to identify you in the immigration system. Don't lie, don't show fake documents. The problem here is even with all this advice, we are seeing that US citizens are being detained even when they say they're U.S. citizens, even when they prove that they are U.S. citizens. And as brought up in the lawsuit that is pending, the ACLU in Southern California, they've told the judge that people are being detained and then asked questions later. So we can give this advice, but the bottom line is this administration, this regime is violating the law, is violating the Fourth Amendment and the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's a very scary situation for those who are now trying to avoid going to work or school or church or just anything they enjoy doing in their lives. Alina, I want to pivot to a big immigration case, and it's that of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador and then brought back to the United States. Now, today, there was a hearing today, and a judge ended that hearing not making a decision about if he should be released from the detention in Tennessee before his human smuggling trial. So ICE officials, they have made it clear over and over again that he could be deported if he is released. What would Abrego Garcia have to do in terms of an opportunity to stop that deportation?
So unfortunately, recently the U.S. Supreme Court said that even when someone is granted withholding of removal to their home country, they can still be deported to another third country. Yeah. So what Abrego Garcia would have to do now is say that he has a fear of returning to whichever third country they're going to deport him to. My understanding is that they're looking at South Sudan and Mexico. Mm-hmm. So he would have to raise a credible fear, and if they follow the law, then he's supposed to get a credible fear interview. And if he's able to show that he has a credible fear of returning to one of those two countries, then he should be allowed to stay and seek relief. We don't know if that's really going to happen. As you said, we're going to have to wait and see what the judge says. As she said in the last hearing, she said that she was frustrated because the government's statements is like nailing Jello to a wall. They're not committing to anything. And I think that's intentional to make sure that he cannot be prepared and his attorneys cannot be prepared for what's coming next.
Yeah, and this is a case that started months, just a while ago, and at this point, it's still ongoing, so no telling what his future is going to be. Lina Baroudi, we really appreciate you joining us and for your insight today. Thank you.
Thank you, Muga.